Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Upkick MMA. It's the 366. I am Brendan. Oh, man. UFC Fight Night. Roman Dolidze taking on Nassourdine Imavov. This was not a disciplined night of fights. Let's put it that way. We're going to break down all the fights here. We're going to talk about all of them, break them all down round by round. If you like this kind of thing, subscribe to the channel. That way you know the next video comes out. I'd appreciate it. If you are looking for a specific fight breakdown, timestamps are down below. Let's start with the main event. Bad this was. I don't know why I'm talking like Yoda. Bad this was. No, it was just not fun to watch. We'll talk about it. We'll get into a little bit more technical details, but it's going to be a lot of, rinse and repeat. So we'll talk. And then as far as implications go, I don't know. And so it got me down a little bit. I was expecting something a little bit more exciting. The way that the first round went, I figured it was going to be, an early night. And then I ended up staying for 4 more full rounds of hugging, and I just was not down for it. All right. A low kick from Dolidze early. Imavov landing a right hand as Dolidze gets the body lock. Dolidze going to the clinch, not doing any damage. They end up separating from there. Imavov landing the right hand counter as Dolidze ducks in. That was there for him a lot on the night. Imavov landing a hard right hand. Dolidze goes down, and he does a ton of follow-up. Imavov dumped a ton of energy to end this round. I thought it was a 10-8 round for sure, right? As close to a finish as you can get without getting the finish. Look at the significant strike differential, 51-8. A lot of those were very impactful. There were 2. We'll talk about the judges' scorecards. I had to open it. Normally, I open it and then look at it with you guys, but I had to open it in a different thing because it wasn't loading on the official UFC page. So I ended up seeing the scorecards kind of all over the place. That first round was important. All right. Let's see here. Oh, sorry, my nose is running too. Cleaning up here in this place with these freaking cats. So I had a 10-8 for Imavov. I just was worried about his cardio to see if it held up. And maybe that was why we got the fight that we did, because it was bad, right? Imavov with the lead shovel hook. Dolidze gets an underhook and presses him to the cage and holding on and doing nothing. Imavov decides he doesn't want to be hugged anymore, gets off the fence. Dolidze pushes him to the fence again to hold on. Both guys land nice right hands to end the round, but Imavov got the better of it. If you think that foot stomps and light taps to the legs are damaging, then you can give this round to Dolidze. Otherwise, the damage goes to Imavov. Looking at the striking numbers here, 9-5, not a whole lot. A lot of cage control time, which doesn't count for anything because it's just positional advantage. Falls way behind damage. Imavov should be up here, 20-17. Imavov with the side kicks to the knee and the front kicks to the body, a snappy jab, and Dolidze hugs him to the fence again. Now, I know that I'm being disparaging by calling it hugging, but let's call it what it was. He was not looking to advance position. He was not looking to damage from that position. He wasn't using the clinch to set up anything else. He was literally holding onto him to stay in a safe, controlling position. You are not allowed to do that. He was warned multiple times. In fact, I don't think they got separated enough. Now, again, I have to say this. I have to throw this disclaimer out there every single time. I know there's a people in the Rogan camp who think that there should never be separations. And if you were for pure fighting, I am totally on board with that. But that's not the rules that we have in place. You have to advance. You have to look for a finish. You have to be working to a finish. And if you are not doing that, you are stalling. That includes on the feet. If you will not engage, you can get warned for stalling on the feet. It doesn't just have to be with grappling. It just so happens that this one was just hugging, and hugging. Imavov landing a nice jab in the right hand, then some more hugging. A repeat, a nice right hand, and then another one, and Dolidze holds on yet again. And they repeat yet again. It's really annoying to watch. Another round for Imavov, 30-26. Looking at the striking numbers here, 20-8 in favor of Imavov. Like, there's no argument to be made that Dolidze won this round. Boy. 4th round. Dolidze swinging huge now, but Imavov dodges the big ones and fires back with a cleaner hook, and then Dolidze hugs yet again. Dolidze puts his hands down and taps the ground. He goes like this. He like taps the ground to show that he's grounded, and then Imavov kicks him in the head. I went off on a rant on this like 2 weeks ago and a couple weeks before that. I'm not going to do it again. It's a stupid rule. Not that hands down means you're a grounded opponent. It's this whole thing where, like, if your weight is not on the hand, it's not down, you can't play the game. You have to make it clear. 2 hands or nothing. You got to make it clear now. It could have ruined this fight. They could have called it, and they called it a DQ for an illegal strike, when you don't know if it's illegal. And I know you're in control of your weapons, but this is stupid. That being said, it was a kick to the head of a grounded opponent. So that's a foul, and he gets a point deduction. Oh, yeah, Imavov goes over to Dolidze's corner because they're yelling at him. Dolidze has a ton of energy now that he got a nice break, gets a takedown, but nothing doing, and they get right back up. Dolidze back to the hugging against the fence. In space, Imavov is landing some clean shots again, avoiding the big stuff coming back at him. Looking at the striking numbers here, 14-6. I gave this one to Imavov as well. There was very little control time on the ground. There was very little advancing from Dolidze. He wasn't doing anything damaging. This goes to Imavov yet again. And then, so I had a 39-35 because that round is a 9-9. Last round, nothing landing early, then to the hug yet again. Dolidze tries to play the game again, and Imavov kicks him in the head for it, and this time it was clean, but Dolidze still tried to complain about it. That's some bullshit. That's how you know they're playing a game. Okay, this is what makes me upset. When they are playing that game, like they're trying to take advantage of the rules, that's how you know. Or like when you see it like that, that's how you know that that's what they're doing, right? This wasn't just a accidental, like, oh, well, I was actually trying to posture and get back up. No, you were doing that on purpose, so he couldn't kick you in the head. And then when he did kick you in the head, you immediately go to like, oh, wait, you're not allowed to. Yes, he is allowed to do that because your hand was up, jackass. Dolidze goes for the knee bar and a toe hold, but they get back up and more huggy time. They exchange after being separated, then hug yet again. Dolidze rolls to the ground and stays there as Imavov lands a couple of shots. Can't give this round to the hugger. 18-7, 49-44 is what I had on my scorecard. Now, this was not a unanimous decision. It was a majority decision because Ron McCarthy gave the second and fourth round to Dolidze, and because that 4th round was a point deduction on Imavov, it became a 10-8, and he did not give a 10-8 to Imavov in the first round. Real nice. Saul D'Amato, I've had his back for the past year. I can understand this scorecard more. That second round, it was closer in the strikes, and if you did give credence to some more of the stuff that, like I said, if you gave credence to some of the stuff that Dolidze was doing, I could understand it. I think it's wrong, but Saul D'Amato and Derek, clearly, I can't believe I agree with his scorecard. He's the one I agree with here. All 5 rounds going to Imavov. I'm not a fan of Derek, clearly. I don't think he is a very good consistent judge, but just because he's not consistent doesn't mean he doesn't get them right every now and then. Again, not to say that I'm right, but in this position, I just can't believe that you would give that many rounds. And I really don't want to talk about this anymore. It was a boring fight. Let's go to an exciting one. Well, exciting for when it was. Renato Moicano taking on Drew Dober. This was exciting in bursts. And then there were lots of moments of nothing. And part of that's on Moicano, and part of it's on Dober. Dober landing a left hook in the exchange. Dober landing a left straight, 2 in a row. Moicano stumbles, but then goes for the takedown, and then Moicano sits on top for the whole round, and he does land a little bit of ground and pound, so I give that round to him. And he did spend 3 minutes and 48 seconds on top. Like, Dober did do more damage in the very beginning, but whatever. Moicano wins that first round. Striking numbers were 6-6, so, if you want to call damage even, then it's clearly in Moicano's favor. Moicano gets a takedown right away in the second round. Dober finds his way back up at 405. They go back down. He spends 3 minutes there, but then Dober gets back up with a lateral drop, a hard lateral drop, throwing him to the ground. Dober opens up a cut on Moicano's, landing some good ground and pound. Moicano holds on for dear life to the end of the round. Again, this is where that control time means jack shit. 3 minutes and 19 seconds of control time. He did nothing with it. Wasn't able to get a submission. Wasn't even, I don't think there was a legit sub attempt at all in this entire fight. Did not throw a significant amount of strikes on the ground. He threw 1 ground strike in the second round. Like, it was just control time burst damage, and Dober did enough damage in the end of that fight, or the end of that round. Last round here. Dober staying on his feet really well, looking like he needs a finish. I didn't think he needed a finish, but he, that's not a bad strategy to have. The 3-2 is landing for Dober. He's defending the clinch very well. Moicano's throwing the jab out there, but just wasn't as much pop as there used to be. Dober goes for the lateral drop and ends up on bottom. Huge mistake by him, and that is why he loses this fight, right? Dober spends the rest of this third round on his back. 3 minutes and 26 seconds of control time for Moicano. Did throw a lot of strikes this round on the ground. 65 total strikes. Yeah, I mean, he did enough in this round for sure to get the decision. And man. Okay. So we can talk about Moicano after. I mean, if you didn't go watch these fights, do not watch the main event. It is not worth your time. It's 25 minutes of boredom, and you are going to hate yourself for watching it. This co-main event with Renato Moicano and Drew Dober, again, for the most of the fight, it was kind of boring, but there were moments of excitement. What do I recommend? Just go on YouTube and watch Moicano post-fight interview. I won't do it justice. I don't want to repeat it. Not that I disagree or agree with anything he's saying, like nothing like that. I literally don't remember enough of it. I know he spoke about wanting to become an American citizen and becoming a fireman, becoming a part of the SWAT team and like making this country great and doing all this stuff like that. I remember the gist of what he said, and people saying like he couldn't win. I get all that, but I'm not going to do it justice. Go watch it. Go watch it online. It's pretty good. Better than the fight. All right, Randy Rude Boy Brown taking on Muslim Salikhov. Not a ton to break down. Salikhov with the hard low kick. The low kicks are there for Salikhov all day. He's countering with the hands with the hook. Brown landing a jab, but just not at the rate that he usually does. And then Brown pokes him in the eye. Pretty bad eye poke. And then there's lots of fouls, so many fouls. Not in this fight, but the whole night. And then Brown lands a right hand, and Salikhov goes down, and that's it. Brown is just gigantic for the division. He's really hard to deal with. I mean, he's been put out before. He can win He can win bullshit decisions, and he can land enough strikes, and he's does enough impactful stuff, and he shrugs things off. So he always gives the impression that he's winning, even if he's not. So, he's a tough guy to deal with, and I think if he puts enough stuff together, he can really make a run for the title. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that all at once. It requires a lot of things going right, including scheduling. All right, moving on. Bibiane Araujo versus Natalia Silva. This was a fun fight to watch. This one was good. Go watch this one. Araujo was taking the center and pressuring hard, and she kept she really liked keeping it against the fence for 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Very Dolidze-esque. But then in the last 20 seconds, Silva just starts throwing and landing some really good shots. If you go by the letter of the rules, the damage being key, Araujo landed no damage, and the damage should go to Silva. Yes, the striking numbers are even 8-8, but Silva landed better strikes. I gave her this round. If you give it to Araujo, fine, but it sets a bad precedent. I really do not like when people are allowed to do this, and they didn't separate them fast enough, in my opinion. Here's the thing. Here's the other thing about separating clinchers. It doesn't mean you have to treat all fights exactly the same. In that, let's see. It does by the rules, but it doesn't mean that each moment in each fight has to be treated the same. That's what I want to say. Right? if you see that the person is working for a takedown and then they failed on it, and then they come up to the clinch and they start doing some damage and they go back down to the takedown and they're working, right? That's working for a finish. And yes, like it failed and they're just end up getting control time with it, but they're actively trying to change the position of the fight. If you see that versus someone just squeezing onto someone else for 3 minutes, there's a difference there. Even though on paper it won't look any different, there's a huge difference of what's actually going on. So this was not the case. They were not doing anything. She was literally just holding on to her. Second round, Silva landing a nice left head kick and then a side kick to the face, some hook and a hook that dropped Araujo, who just tries to clinch against the fence yet again. Araujo back to the clinch, holding her up, and they separate because she didn't do shit yet again. Silva actually trying to finish the fight here. I give her this round. Look at the striking numbers here. Only 12-9, right? Not like, this fight wasn't as good now that I remember it. Holy crap. This was a bad night. Dude, this is a skipper. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Anyway, there was some fun. There was a couple finishes on the card, but this was bad. There's a lot to sit through. Anyway, in the second round, there wasn't that big of a difference in the striking numbers, and the control time went to Araujo, but again, she didn't do shit with it. Because she didn't do anything. She didn't do damage. She wasn't looking to finish. She wasn't doing anything. Horrible. 20-18. Silva landing a 1-2 and then a side kick at us. Araujo tries to press forward. Silva with the really great hook to the body and that jab. Araujo landing a right hand, but back to the cage pressure and a shitty single leg, and then gets warned about sitting there. And then she would often land one shot, but then takes one or two in return. Silva doubled her up in this last round, 18-9. There's no way that Araujo thought that she won this. There's no fucking way. I don't understand what they're teaching them in their that just because I'm pushing someone to the fence, I'm winning. Or I'm gonna win. Absolutely not. Looking at the judges' scorecards here, all three judges gave that first round to Araujo. I didn't, but I don't disagree. I mean, it's not horrible. I understand why they did it. I just don't agree with it. I just don't like the fact that someone just stands there and holds them against the fence. Okay, this one's not going to take too long to go over. Aliaskhab, Khizriev versus Makhmud Muradov. Nothing to break down here that much. Muradov stabs Khizriev in the eye right as the fight starts. Muradov keeps walking around the cage, not listening to the ref, should be disqualified, honestly. Walked around, he kept telling him to get out of there. I don't care if you don't understand the language. It's not about that. He's like, if someone needs to be punished, maybe it's their coaches, I don't know. And that's the end of the fight. The doctor stoppage this isn't the first time this guy, Muradov, has poked someone in the face, or poked them in the eye, and he looks all pissy like he's getting the raw deal here. Dude, this isn't some backyard or mountain bullshit. Right? People don't need to be going blind. They have they're trying to make a career out of this. They're trying to feed their families. They're trying to make money and better their lives. They're not trying to fucking lose vision in one eye because you're undisciplined with your fingers, you jackass. Quit acting all pissy and realize that you screwed up. All right. First fight on the card. Gilbert Urbina versus Charles Radtke. Oh, yeah, the last fight. First disqualification of the year. Lots of fouls. We got another one in this fight. Urbina landing some kicks on the outside. Radtke finds a hard left hook and some hard jabs. That left hook was landing for him well. Urbina's doing a fine job on staying on the outside and landing kicks, but anytime that he stops and engages with Radtke, he gets hit with that left hook. Radtke kicks him in the nuts a little bit. I say a little bit because it was a tap to the cup itself, and it wasn't like a hard kick to the nuts. Still a foul. Radtke catches him with the left hook again, and Urbina drops. He lands it yet again, and that's the end of it. Striking numbers here, 30-16. Lots of damage for Radtke. Again, if you guys watch this video, I appreciate you all for stopping by. I know this wasn't the most exciting night of fights, and I honestly wouldn't go back, and there's probably nothing in this that I would go back and watch again. If you wanted to really break down fighters in the future, I'm sure you could find better fights, more entertaining fights, and more informative fights to break down and watch. So appreciate you all for stopping by here. Hope you guys have an amazing week. I know this wasn't fun. Subscribe to the channel. If you guys are still here, please subscribe to the channel. That way I know you know the next video is coming out and helps me out too. I appreciate y'all. Love you guys. Have an amazing week.